This function AND is one of the logical functions that checks several conditions. If all the conditions are true, the output of the condition is true. And if even one condition is wrong, the output of the function will be false. In this function, the main criterion is the correctness of all conditions. The AND function has two arguments or input parameters. Logical 1, which is the first condition, and logical 2, which is the second condition. This function is not used alone, but in combination with other functions. So in general, the input of this function is one or more conditions, and its output is false or true. Suppose here we have a table with tonnage information and discount percentage. Now in this table, the input data shows the amount of tonnage, and we have to specify the discount percentage with a formula. To do this, I write equal to if, open parentheses, cell H3, which is our input data. If it's greater than or equal to 7, we enter a comma. The corresponding discount cell, enter the comma again, and write if, open parentheses, if the input cell H3 is less than or equal to 4, we will enter the corresponding discount cell, and if it's not higher than 7 and not less than 4, the discount cell will show us. Then we close the parentheses. According to the number of functions we use, we have an open parenthesis and a closed parenthesis. Now we press enter, and now if we set the format to percentage, we will see that it displays the percentage. The point here is that Excel doesn't accept the two-way condition. For example, in this example, we cannot write 4 less than H3 less than 7. H3 is smaller than 7 and larger than 4, and it must be divided into two conditions. We need to convert it into two one-condition formulas, and for this we must use the AND function. So in this way we write the formula if, open parentheses, if H3 is greater than 7, the corresponding discount cell will show. And we enter if again, and then we enter AND. If H3 is greater than 4, comma, H3 smaller than 7. And then we close the parentheses. So the two-way condition can only be implemented with AND. Then we enter the corresponding discount cell. Otherwise, the cell will show us the third discount, and now if we press enter, we will see that the desired percentage is displayed. The OR function, like the AND function, is a logical function that checks multiple conditions. If at least one condition is true, the output of the function is true. Otherwise, it will be false. In this function, the main criterion is that at least one of the conditions is true. There are two arguments of OR function, logical 1, which is the first condition, and logical 2, which is the second condition. This function is not used alone and is used in combination with other functions. Let's see together an example of combining these functions. Suppose here we have a table in which the performance evaluation score is specified. Now we want to evaluate the performance status of the employees according to this table. For this, we must write the corresponding formula. So we start the formula like this. If, parentheses, and if the content of this cell is greater or equal than 100, we put a comma. And again, if the same cell is smaller or equal than 150, we close the parentheses. As a result, show us this content. Otherwise, again, if And if the content of this cell was larger or equal to 151, comma, the same cell was smaller, equal to 170, show the content of this cell. Otherwise, also show the content of this cell. Now we press enter and you will see that it displays the status. Now, if in the same question the performance score of the employees was below 100 or above 200, how will this situation be displayed? For this, it's sufficient to put if at the beginning of the cell formula, open parentheses, and if the contents of this cell are smaller than 100, and again the same cell is greater than 200, closed parentheses. We leave two quotes blank, otherwise the formula continues. Now if we press enter, you will see that the formula doesn't work. My friends, the structure of the formula is correct here, but let's check the formula once again. We said here that if the content of this cell is smaller than 100 and larger than 200, this is impossible, and we must use the OR command in this formula. That is, let's say it's smaller than 100 or larger than 200. Just use OR instead of AND. And now you will see that it shows the cell as empty, and the same command as we wanted was executed. Now, if we double click, this formula will be executed for other cells as well. And if you change the score, you will see that the status cell will change automatically. We have reached another logical function. The IFERROR function in Excel is designed to control and manage errors in formulas and calculations. That is, when an error message such as sharp value, sharp ref, etc. is shown, this function checks the formula and it evaluates an error. It returns another value that you specify. Otherwise, it returns the result of the formula. The arguments or input parameters of this function are two parts. Value is the amount that is checked for error and can be a formula, expression, value, or cell reference. Value if error is the value that should be returned if an error is found. The input of this function is a formula, but its output is the result that we want to show, which can be a number, text, dates, etc. Let's check this function with an example. Suppose we have a table that we want to calculate the division result of dividing. That is, A2 divided by B2. We press enter and the division result is displayed. Now we copy this cell to apply to all cells. Now you will see that a series of errors are displayed, and we don't want these errors to occur. For this, it's enough to enter the IFERROR command in the first cell at the beginning of the formula. And for example, if this command gives an error, it will show the cell as empty. Now, if we copy this cell down, you will see that it no longer shows errors and it shows blank. So note, whatever you write in this formula will show you the same.